Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of LVAD Talk. Today I'm speaking with Lisa Justus. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing pretty good. So it's been a long day, or a long 24 hours, but picking my chin back up off the floor like us LVAD warriors do, and and moving on and jumping over the next hurdle, getting ready to jump over the next hurdle. So
all right, so let's jump into that. Let's talk about what just happened within your last 24 hours, starting with an email that I get saying sorry, not sorry.
Yes, yeah, sorry. So yesterday morning at 7:30, I got a phone call that they had a heart for me. So I've been on the list for almost 30 days. They bumped me up my 30-day grace period to put me up to another status. So we were winding down. I think my 30 days ends on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So when I got that call, and my mom and sister were here, so we got to celebrate. I thought, oh my word. I was like, God is good. I was like, I cannot believe that this is happening right now. And my mom and so we were celebrating. And so went to the hospital. And of course they're like, come within the hour. And so we went, and then when we got in there, then we discovered that the surgery was going to be scheduled for 5 a.m. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, why are we here? And so then they just made we made adjustments and so forth. But I was there all day, where I probably could have come home, but they had already started IVs and such. So we did pretty much kind of up all night because they were getting me ready for surgery at 5 a.m. They ran the medication. They were running, I had like about 4 IVs. I did all the wiped out, disinfected myself and ready to rock and roll. They just put the A-line in, and we were going to go to surgery. And I saw people running in the hallway. So it's canceled. And I was like, and so I think after the procurement team went in, they must have decided that it wasn't strong enough. And so they passed on the heart. Okay. So then I got to come home. They turned my defibrillator back on, and we're back to where we were before, waiting.
So is this your first time getting called?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was the first time.
So what was that? What was that experience like?
Like actually like getting the call.
Right. When you saw the phone number come across, what was that like?
Well, first off, like most of them are calling from their cell phones because it was a Sunday. So, you have to answer every call. So if you need auto insurance, you'll be good. It's like, how many? I'm like, I don't need auto insurance. But I got the phone call. And so it takes your breath away, I have to say, because when you're waiting, I've been on my LVAD for 3 years. Mm-hmm. So it was a surprise to me that I actually could get transplanted sooner, because I was expecting to be on it at least 4 years, because I had breast cancer in 2017. So they want you to be 5 years cancer free. Mm-hmm. And what's happened now is there are new recommendations based on the cancer you have, that it can be, that it only has to be 2 years cancer free, depending upon what type of cancers. So, so when I had my checkup with Ohio, because I'm at the Ohio State Ross, they said that, that they are accepting the new recommendations. And if I wanted to be on the list, I can be. So I was like, yes. And that was probably, I think, more emotional than anything, because, when you go through this process, you really have to accept, this card you're dealt with. Mm-hmm. I don't know how, I'd like to hear kind of how you dealt with it, because that's what I'm really enjoying the podcast, is hearing how people have dealt with it, because it took me a while to say, all right, accept it. This is how you need to live, and find ways to, make your life, find ways to work around what's bothering you.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I think that call, or when I got to talk to him, and of course everything's done on Zoom because of COVID.
Right.
I was like dancing around and going, oh my God, I can be listed. And and then that went pretty fast because that was May. And then we did all the, like they get, all your analysis and, and checkup and everything like within that 30 days. So by the end of, it must have been, by the end of July, I was approved.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it was just a matter of getting me on the list and insurance approvals and everything. So that was really exciting when I could go through that process and knowing I could get on the list.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so since this has happened, and I think you're one of the first people I've talked to recently who has gotten a call during COVID, were any of the procedures different because now it was COVID, and were there restrictions compared to like a normal stay or visit in the hospital?
So no, the only thing was that you could only have one guest, and I don't think anybody over 8. The guest has to be over 18. Mm-hmm. But the only thing that they did, which is funny, so you go up. I went up into the room, and then they were doing, they took all my blood and everything, and then they did the COVID test and quarantined me until they found out. And I was like, is that backwards?
Right.
But they were like, but they didn't know at the time that the surgery was going to be scheduled at 5 a.m. Mm-hmm. So they're like, we need to get your labs done so we can get those processed. And, and then they had asked if I was vaccinated, and I had, both my husband and I were vaccinated. So they were all vaccinated, because I know there's still some hospital workers that don't want to be, but I think this unit, they all have been. So it was nice, that we didn't have to worry about that at this point. But but that was it. But they did the one where they stick it to your nose. Up your nose, right to your eyeball.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've had that. Yes.
You have?
And you would figure, excuse me, and you would figure that since they took your blood, there would have been some kind of way they could have did the COVID test that way.
I know. That's what I would have thought too. But I think I don't know if it's the quickest way for them to test for it. I don't know. So, but we got it done. So that was good. Yeah. So COVID negative. So.
So what is your overall feeling about your experience? Because it's fresh, like you just got home. Yeah.
So I mean, overall, I was a little upset because I went into the hospital so early, because I was thinking that I was going to be prepped and, in a few hours I was going to be put in surgery. So then you're sitting in the hospital. But overall, I was ready for it. Like you think, but you do experience a lot of emotions, like I had, you're anxious, you're excited. I was worried. I have an 11-year-old at home. I had a baby late in life, so he's 11, and he, I knew he kept calling. So you're just worried about that, but you're excited, and so you have a lot of emotion. And then also too, for the family, I think because I had a lot of emotion because I have a friend where her brother was an organ donor, and I know the struggle that they went through because of, when they're trying to coordinate the organ donation, and they're not really pronouncing them deceased, they're keeping them on life support. So it's hard. So then when I heard that it was like moved, I thought, oh, this poor family. And, and then you see on social media, people within the area, and it just, So put your phone away.
Right.
Yeah. But other than that, I think, if you're, I guess you go through a myriad of feelings, because you're excited. Yeah. So, and I went through them all, but the hospital staff was wonderful. They're excited for you. And, we had good quality physicians, and the anesthesiologist was amazing. He was the poor guy that had to tell me, he's like, don't cry, don't cry. I was like, okay. But it was good. So overall, the experience was fine. So, yeah. So how long have you had your LVAD?
6 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 6 years.
Wow. Now, are you waiting for a transplant?
I am. I'm fighting with my weight, and so far the weight has been winning.
I get that.
And what really did me in, though, was COVID. Because prior to COVID, I had worked out almost every weekday for a year.
Oh my gosh.
I had gotten to a rhythm. I got into a routine.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of, don't tell nobody, started liking going to the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm hitting my stride. I'm in my 1 year, and boom, COVID hits. And then I'm told, don't go to the gym anymore.
Yeah.
And almost all the weight that I lost, I came right back doing lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is easy to do. I kind of was in the same boat but I didn't go. I was working out at home, but I hurt my knee. And then I was at that point, I was like, okay, nothing good is coming from exercise anymore.
I need that experience. I have a treadmill.
You like the experience?
I have a treadmill right over here, right off camera. But it's something about getting out, going to the gym, being with other people who are working
I would agree. I know when I did my physical therapy after my LVAD, I really enjoyed it. And it was a nice experience talking to all, for all the people, especially because I was in a heart therapy, gym. You're in the kind of like a cardiac gym, and and it was awesome. Yeah. So I get that. I like going places. Yeah. How do you wear your equipment?
Well, right now I'm wearing a friend of mine, John Stratton, has a company called Men and Materials, and there's a vest that they make. So now, both of my batteries are under my arms here, and my controller is right here.
Really?
It's a black T-shirt.
Yeah.
That has Velcro here. And I'm a kangaroo.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah. And what's that called?
It is called the Freedom Vest. And
the Freedom Vest. Okay. Because right now, because I've been trying to find something around my waist, and I wear the football pants right now. And that's what I wear with dresses.
One. I haven't had, actually, since I've had my LVAD, I've never done the football girdle.
Yeah. And it's easy for girls because I can put it in my cup.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wear a dress, and I said nobody even knows, but that's because I've tried the shirts, and the shirts I couldn't get my arms down, but I've been trying to find something around my waist so that I could just wear kind of like bigger shirts, and then I could wear shorts and stuff. So
I'm gonna tell you where I like the two places I like this the most. Sleeping is great because all your cords come out the front, so it doesn't matter how you roll over. It's like you're not rolling over on a bag or anything. That's great.
Right.
And going to the gym is great.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you wear it when you go out? You just put them in a
bag? It gets so situational with me.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on what I'm doing. Like sometimes, doing this, my hobby, I do photography. I shoot video. So when I'm out with a whole bunch of gear, I'll wear this because I don't necessarily want a bag plus my camera bag and tripod.
Oh, wow. Stuff. Yeah.
Then again, I got other bags, and depends on the outfit I'm wearing, what I'm doing for that day. I accessorize.
Yes. That's LVAD. I know. I said, the one thing about LVAD patients, as I said, we're becoming problem solvers.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I don't know if you figured it out. Like, you know, when you're in the shower, like, oh, what am I going to do with my equipment? My husband's like, get a IV, you know, thing. And a lot of these aren't LVAD team approved, but
Right.
I figured out a lot of like
You got to have your
solutions
own
to getting around.
Yeah.
You do. You do. And that's what helps you get through it. Because I know, I think that was when I first got mine, and I don't know if you did, but I was the rule follower. You know,
Okay.
I was charting all my numbers. I was, you know, you're changing your bandage according to protocol. And, you know, doing all those things that you're supposed to do. And then it was hard. And then finally, you know, I was like, you know, you just gotta figure out what's going to work for you. And
exactly.
And once I could wear my batteries, that's what made a difference for me. So instead of carrying them around in a bag, you know, and I would have good, you know, nice backpacks and stuff, and people didn't even know I had it, but it was better to wear them.
So tell me about your story and how you found out you were in heart failure.
Okay. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So a shout out to the girls out there, do your self breast examinations. I wasn't that far past due for my mammogram, but I just happened to feel a lump. Mm-hmm. And so went in, and that was October of 2017. And then, December of 2017, I had a mastectomy, did the chemo, and we finished chemo in May. Mm-hmm. And then June, my husband and we celebrated in New Orleans. So had a great time. So I'm very thankful we did that. And then I was starting to get tired. And then I really sat there and then I had my implants put in. Mm-hmm. So I really thought when I couldn't breathe, I was having a struggle breathing. Mm-hmm. I really thought I had a blood clot in my lungs. And then when I went to the hospital, they were like, no, it's your heart. And then they were figuring out that, you know, they didn't think I was in heart failure, but they put me with a cardiologist. Mm-hmm. And then they gave me it was a beta blocker, Corig. And oh my God, it just sent my blood pressure plummeting. And then I was a CFO at a law firm, and I just kept trying to work. I was like, this girl's powering through it. Right. I got this, you know, and then the doctor told me to exercise to make your heart stronger. And I mean, so there I am, I'm exercising, trying, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm getting, you know, this is not taking me down. Mm-hmm. And then, it took me down fast. And then, by then I realized like I couldn't even carry my backpack from work, you mm-hmm. know, because that's what I was putting all my stuff in a backpack. And and one of the girls at work, she's like, you are gray. And so then, next thing I know, I had blood clots. Like I had 5 blood clots. I had them in my legs, my lungs, and a heart. And then, so then it went from there. I went to, they released me because I think when you're young, and I don't know if you did this, but you're trying to, because they told me the LVAD was the option at this point, you know, because I went into the ICU, and the doctor I was at Riverside Methodist at the time, had said, he goes, what I'm suspecting is that you were genetically disposed to heart failure, mm-hmm. and you're going to need an LVAD, you know, because you're not going to be able to get a heart transplant. And he was right. But I was fighting it. I was like, no, I'm good, you know, and so I went back to his office, and, you know, and he's like, oh, you got color. So he thought, okay, maybe the medicine, we're going to make this work. And then I came home, and and then I had a really, really bad weekend. And then my husband ended up reaching out to a doctor at the Cleveland Clinic, because we tried to make an appointment there to get a second opinion. And that doctor ended up going, bring her in tomorrow morning. And they like put me just up on the table in my shoes and stuff and put a swan in my neck. And I was in the ICU. Then, so I almost, that was kind of the scary part, because they were like, your heart was in cardiac shock. So, so then that happened. I left the Cleveland Clinic, And then, when I came back here again, the medicine just wasn't working. And I went back into the hospital in early September and then was implanted in September 25th. So from the start of June, like that mid-June, I was implanted by September 25th.
So you had time to kind of figure out what it was.
Yeah. We were working at it and they were trying. So they knew I was in heart failure. Like once I got to Riverside Methodist, once after it was the blood clots, once I had all that, they were like, you're in severe heart failure. And if we can't, monitor this with drugs, then, you're going to have an LVAD. So that's when we decided, at that point, I was like, okay, we'll get through it. The drugs are going to work and you're staying positive. And then that's when I got sick. We went up and got a second opinion just to be sure. And it was pretty much the consensus. But one thing I know, I don't know if you've had this. So my dad had cardiomyopathy, and through the whole chemo, like I didn't even realize that it was genetic. And so I ended up getting tested for, it's like the Titin gene tends to be the gene that indicates that you're going to be prone to heart failure. And that's what my gene was malformed. So that they were like, your gene is not, is not properly formed. So you were going to be at risk for heart failure, but the chemo just accelerated it, to making it immediate. Yeah. So, yeah. And I don't know if a lot of other people.
It is hereditary for me. Yes.
It is hereditary for you as well. Have you been genetically tested?
No, I haven't. I might look into that though.
You should. And, and I'm assuming do you have children?
Yes, I have two kids. I have,
you have two kids.
14 and my son is 10.
So, and I don't know how hard this was on them, but it was hard on my son. But I got tested and then my sister got tested and we tested my son as well, just to make sure the genes were okay and stuff. So now my sister had another gene that my whole mom's side of the family, because my mom's side of the family is worse with heart failure, but that is something for you to look into if you want your children, just to know if they're disposed to it, then you can take medicine. Because that's what my sister right now, she's already on like beta blockers and things for blood pressure. So yeah. So preventative, a little preventative, because I didn't realize, because that's what I said. I was like, oh, should I be, I thought it was like diet and exercise. And they're like, no, it's really not diet and exercise. So it's genetic.
So what was your recovery like after your surgery when you came home?
LVAD, it was rough for me. Because I was so sick. And I've heard, I passed out. My alarms were going off. I had the low flow alarm. And it just took me a while to recover. And plus I was depressed. So that made it hard. But it, you keep pushing through, and then each day it got a little better. And as I got stronger, it got better. 'Cause when you're up and you're like, you can't even walk up 6 steps, or I could, barely get to the mailbox. It was hard. It was mentally hard. And I think you're at that point, like, how is this going to change? And now you have to live with these batteries. And I wanted to throw them out the wall. I wanted to throw them out the window. And then people are, and it's funny. And I don't know if you had this, like if you struggled with it, but people are like, oh, be grateful. And I'm like, I am grateful, but I can be pissed off too.
At the same time, right?
I know. I'm like, I can be pissed off. I mean, trust me, science is amazing, but I'm like, the cords, I can't stand the cords. And then like when I first did, I was hooking up to the wall and it was like a leash to the wall, which sometimes was good. 'Cause then my husband, I was like, yeah, I'm connected to the wall. You have to get that.
Right. I do it to my kids all the time. Yeah.
So did you have a hard time?
I kind of had I had motivation where I didn't
Yeah.
have time to have a hard time. I think I
Did it
did.
happen really quick?
Well, so at the same time I had my LVAD, my wife was going through stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Oh, shit.
So we were kind of, dealing with that too. So I kind of almost didn't have
Oh,
time to have a hard time. I had to get better.
well, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So
Yeah.
how's your wife?
She passed away.
Oh, I'm so
She passed
sorry.
away right after, a little more than 6 months after my surgery.
Oh, she did.
Mhm.
Oh, screw you, cancer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm
But we were
sorry.
lucky. She had pancreatic cancer, which is one of the worst cancers you can possibly
Yeah.
have. And we had 2 years.
Okay.
They were able to be really
So,
aggressive, and she was young. So we had 2 years. So we knew,
so,
and so
so she fought like hell.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
We did the whole
Oh,
bucket
yeah.
list thing, and
You did?
yeah.
Oh, what was one of the best things? What was one of the coolest things you did?
Ooh, what was it? Going to Jamaica?
Oh, love Jamaica.
Yeah,
Love it. Yeah. I hope you got the jerk chicken
of
on the
course.
side of the road, not at no resort.
Right. Yeah,
Aw, that's all. Well, good. I know. And that's the things that I was doing too, was, you make your bucket, you kind of do a bucket list. And I found for me, like the way to happiness was doing something that made me happy every single day. And it could be just sitting outside with a cup of coffee, or, and reading something, visiting a friend. But that's where I kind of kept progressing. And then, of course, the drugs help.
yeah, yeah.
So I take, yeah. So how's your family? I'm sorry. I love to chat with people. How's your family doing? Because I'm always like, my son, like, because when you're in that survival mode, like we were just surviving. And then like, as the dust kind of settled and then I was home and I was struggling a little bit, that's when it kind of, for my son, it kind of bubbled to the surface. And, and then we had to, we got him, he had to go, we had him talk to somebody and stuff so he could help process his emotions. Were your kids okay through all this?
The weird thing with my kids, they were so young. It's like
Okay.
normal for them.
Okay.
This is just how daddy works, and they don't see it any kind of way. I think my daughter was 6 and my son was 2.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So that's just a normal thing. Daddy goes
little, yeah.
They're
just like, as long as you're still there.
Yeah.
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 Aww.
And they've grown up with me, having times where I have to go into the hospital. So for them, it's no big deal. I don't want to say it's no big deal, but it's, they kind of know the protocol.
Okay. So so they know that you'll be back and you're still healthy. Yeah.
They got their favorite nurse thing that sneaks them ice cream and yeah.
Oh, good. What hospital do you go to?
Centera Heart Hospital.
Okay.
Centera Heart Hospital is like the 10th best heart hospital in the nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just luck. God put me where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So when I went through this, I have a world-class heart hospital right in my metropolitan area.
Okay. Yeah. No, it is so fortunate to have that locally. Because I know our heart at Riverside Methodist, now OSU had a pretty good LVAD program, but Riverside was just starting. So they were really, like I kept saying they were like LVAD ninjas because they were doing everything possible to make sure you didn't die. I was like, they were like, no, we're just starting our program. We are not, you are not going to be that statistic. So they were really good. And still the LVAD team, I'm just friends with, like you say, like with all the nurses and stuff, I'm just, you're friends with them, and and just so grateful that they saved your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was one of the major things that you had to change once you got your LVAD?
Gosh, I think it was acceptance. Honestly, it was just accepting the LVAD. I mean, because I think for the most part you're living, and then not being able to swim. Like we're travelers and we like to travel. So I don't know, in Jamaica, we went to the Bahamas. I think that was like one of the first big vacations. We went to the Bahamas, and of all places we went to was that the one with the water park or whatever. Okay. Yeah. And we go there, and I'm just like sitting there, and we're like letting the water kind of wash up. And I was already pushing my LVAD limits. And then I was like, maybe if I get my shower bag, I can go on that water ride. My husband's like, are you crazy? And I'm like, pretty much at this point. So that was a little hard because I am a water person, and you want to do all those things, but it was still okay. But yeah. So not being able to swim has been a little bit hard, but other than that, I've still been able to travel. And I've been able to do mostly all my daily functions, but I did stop work. I did no longer work at a law firm, which has been the silver lining of all of this. I do miss the people I worked with, but it's just, my life is not as stressful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
you mentioned one of the things you had to deal with after your surgery was depression. Do you feel that you could have been more prepared mentally for your recovery?
I don't think so. I think you just had to go through it, and the hospital did a wonderful job. But I have to say, one of the things I was trying not to do was go on more medicine. So I was not taking like Zoloft or Prozac or anything. So I was trying not to. And then, you have that person talk to you, and it's like, you know what? That's what it's there for. It's like, if you had a cold or you had some other ailment, you would take medicine for it. And this is one of those times that you just, they're like, take it. So it did make a difference, but it makes a difference if you're moving in the right direction, and not sitting and you're laying in bed. So yeah, I was lucky because I pushed myself. I'm a doer. I'm like type A, so I always got to be doing something. So I was lucky. It kind of kept pushing me. I kept pushing myself to, cook, and just do things like around the house and be with my kid, And the other thing that I did that I ended up loving was, I like to do crafts and stuff, but I did paint by numbers. There's some pretty awesome paint by numbers paintings.
Yeah. Adult coloring is a big thing now.
Yeah. And the paint by numbers paintings are pretty incredible. And I was like, so I would do that, and I would listen to music. That was, you know what? And that was the other thing that got me through. My husband, he loves music, and he's just, and I would go to when I would go to OSU, for physical therapy, he's just like, and I would be sitting there on the on the treadmill, and I'm like, oh, I went, you couldn't go very far, very fast, and I was getting upset. And he goes, put music in your ears. And just made a world of difference for me, and so it was kind of, uplifting music. He says I'm musically impaired because I like show tunes. I like, 70s and 80s music. So give me some good ABBA.
Okay, I like ABBA.
Yeah. So that really helped. So it's finding your things. Like, I don't know, did you find things for you like that helped you get through it? I know you had your wife probably pushing, helping you, but
the kids were a big motivation. They were huge.
Were
motivation.
they?
Yeah.
So,
and especially knowing it now, I have the added responsibility of being their only parent. So it makes it
Oh,
really
yeah.
real,
Oh, yeah. So are you able then, apart from like doing your podcast, are you able to be at home then?
Oh yeah, I'm home.
Yeah, you're able to. Okay, that's good. Oh, wow. So did you
And
have a
like you
hard
were
time?
saying earlier, silver lining is a blessing that I'm able to be in a situation where I am home. Where right
Yeah.
now, if my phone rings, there's a problem at school, I'm out, I'm gone. All
Yeah.
the teachers know I'm a phone call away.
Yep.
And I try to be extra hands on. I guess it's my way of overcompensating for being a single parent.
Yeah. Because you were a tech guy, right? So
Yes.
did you work at a company? Because that's what I was like, thank God I got the disability insurance.
Right,
I don't know.
exactly. And that was something that I didn't have the foresight to do, but my wife did it for me.
She
So
did?
yeah.
Women.
And I had all the
So
right insurance and everything.
yeah, so it makes it
Yeah.
that's what's helping me. Yeah. I have to say that has taken like that takes such a level of stress off the situation
Mhm.
that you don't have to deal with. Yeah. And I mean my husband's still working, but still it was, when you're used to the two incomes and
Yeah.
things, it makes it different. So I always tell people, I'm like, oh, get the insurance and pay for it yourself because then it's not taxed.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I know. So did you struggle? Did you have, well, I know, was you doing so many other things. Were you struggling with depression at all?
I think I have selective, like certain days are
Yeah.
better than others.
Others? Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, I didn't really have time to
You didn't.
go
Yeah.
through it and deal with my wife and recover and grieve and parent and adjust. It was all, but I think that was a good thing because it all
Okay.
came so hard that I just had to kind of deal with it.
Yeah. Well, because now, like, as the dust has settled, do you find now, because you're doing these LVAD podcasts, which I think are great,
Thank you.
because I love to hear like how other people are coping and, and a lot of the things that they do to get through their day. Because that's how I found out about the football pants,
Mhm.
was, reading, I think it was the LVAD blog, the LVAD website and found something and I was like, oh, that might be a good idea. So yeah, so I like to so it's good that I just didn't know like after the dust settled, because that's kind of how it was here when you're in flight mode and survival
You don't have
mode.
time to,
You don't have
right.
time to think.
Yeah.
And so but then once it kind of settles, it all kind of creeps in
And then with the kids with me, it never settles.
it never settles. I know. Good for you for doing it as one parent, because we have one, and I sit there and there's two of us to one, and it's like, and we're older. You think we know better, but we don't. But they're such a joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, we will be praying that you get your second call.
Okay, thank
And
you.
if somebody came to you and said, Lisa, I'm thinking about having to get an LVAD, or I was told I need an LVAD, what advice would you give them?
Oh, the advice. I would definitely say talk to other LVAD people, other LVAD patients. Definitely talk to therapists, because I think they're going to really help you process like how to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And I recommend the LVAD. It's hard, you need to understand the reality of it at first, and struggle. It's going to be hard, but you're going to get through it, and you're going to come out on the other side. So I think it's good to to see all the stories, because to see the people that maybe have struggled, because and then know that there's another side to it. But I would also say too, you have to have the right support system, I feel. I mean, depending upon the person you are. Like if you're a survivor and a type A, I think you're probably going to deal with it and get through it. Mm-hmm. But I always say LVADs are not for wimps.
Right. Exactly.
They're not for wimps. I mean, you have to keep fighting and you have to make sure you're following their care instructions. You can't just, be mad, because I know people like that too, where they just don't care and they're in and out of the hospital all the time. And I'm thinking, just take care of yourself.
Right.
So I know. Have you had a lot of infections?
I've had two. I've had two infections.
Okay.
But it was just in my Driveline area locally down here. So like you didn't travel up anywhere.
Okay. That's the same with me.
In both cases, it's because of a snag.
Because of what?
A snag in my cord.
Oh, yeah. That cord likes to get caught on. Yeah. I know. That's why when I found that I wore it on my dress, I got it caught on a bathroom door.
That's why I wear the vest, because I don't have any cords to get snagged.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dropping of the bag. I don't know how. Yeah. Because I know my drive line's like coming out. You can see the Velcro, and they keep yelling at me. They're like, you can see a lot of Velcro, Lisa, on there. You need to be careful. And I was like, well, somebody didn't stitch it well enough. But yeah. So, okay. Yeah. That's impressive for 6 years that you've only had two. Yeah.
But I've had my Driveline replaced.
You have?
Yes.
Why?
It just was over after, I think, the first 3-4 years, just wear and tear, and I'm still a guy, so I do guy things, and yeah. So,
which I get. Yeah, I get it, because I know one time I remember sitting there and I didn't even realize, because we had a puppy. It was like the dog's chewing on it. And I was like, no.
It's something about dogs and Driveline. I don't know what it is.
I know, they're just like, and you don't even realize it. And I was like, what are you doing? But yeah, I know. I like to push the LVAD limits too. So I've been stranded. We have some islands up here off of Lake Erie, and we were staying at one island, and I was over at the other, and I forgot to bring my backup bag and didn't change my batteries, and my batteries were going off, and so I was kind of landlocked. And then my friends, they're all trying to call the Coast Guard, and it was hysterical. Wow. And they were more upset, but at the time I was relatively new, and they told me I had 20 minutes. And then realizing then it took us like an hour to get back to the other island. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, liars. I was like, I have an hour plus the 15 minutes. So yeah. Do you have what do you have? A HeartMate 3 or 2?
HeartMate 2. Yes.
2. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got mine. That's what I think, when they were they just started putting in the 3s, I believe, at mine.
Yeah, I was like one of the last of the 2s.
You were? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How do they replace your Driveline?
It was external. Luckily, it was external.
It's external. Yes. Okay. So you don't have to. Okay.
Very carefully, and one cord at a time.
And one cord. Jeez. Oh. Did you ever have alarms?
Oh yeah, so I tell people it's a lot like building a race car. When you build your race car works, but it takes a little bit of time before you can get it dialed in. And that's kind of how working with an LVAD is. So my first maybe 2 years or so was I was in and out of the hospital. I was going back and forth. Like now I see my team maybe once every 3 weeks. Where then I was seeing them like once a week.
Yeah.
So once I got dialed in, and I tell people sometimes it's still a mechanic device. Sometimes like your car, you have to go in for a tune-up.
Right.
But now it's less and less.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, because that's what they had to change out my controller, because I was getting so many low flow alarms that, it was waking me up at night, and because it's more sensitive to your blood pressure. Mm-hmm. So they finally, they had to get it FDA approved, and I have a low flow, it instead of doing it at 2.5, it goes off at 2.0. So they can do that stuff too. But you go in every 3 weeks? Is that?
No,
really?
I'm sorry. I'm at the point now I go in every few months.
Few months. That's what I do. Yeah, it's every 3 months or so. Yeah, I try not to see them. Something's always, it's like always something. I swear, I was like, it's something always is coming up, but it's fine. Just keep rolling with it.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Lisa, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your day. I really appreciate it. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, definitely I'm on Instagram. You can reach me I'm LVAD Lisa on Instagram. And yeah, that's probably the easiest way. And I'm also on Facebook under Lisa Tomich Justus. So feel free to message me. So awesome. I love to help people. I help my LVAD team. I go in and talk to patients. You know, I love talking to others. So I love listening to your podcast. So bless you for doing this.
Thank you.
Because I told the one patient, I was like, oh my God, there's a guy that does podcasts. Listen to these people's stories. They're like you. It sucks at first, but you're going to get better. So, yeah.
And that's exactly my motivation for doing it. Because when I first came out, I didn't have real stories, real people to hear from. And that was important to me. Yeah.
Well, good luck in your weight loss.
Thank you.
Stick with it. Come on. You can do it.
I got to get back in the saddle.
You're going to get back in the saddle. I know it's hard, that COVID. Yeah. I was just like, I said, I need to be, my refrigerator needs to be on quarantine, because that's what I picked up. I felt like I got to be a really good cook during COVID, which was a bad thing.
Right. Yeah.
I was making biscuits, so, but it's all good. But in due time.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to LVAD Talk. You can reach us at lvadtalk.com. You can leave us a message, leave us a voicemail. If you want to tell your story, contact us. Everybody is free to tell your story here. Lisa, thank you so much for taking your time out again and reaching out to us and coming on and sharing your story. And I want you to come back with an update, because I know you're going to get that transplant.
I do. I for sure will. So I'll definitely be in touch. And thanks for doing this. And I really appreciate it. So
thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
This is LVAD Talk. I'm Shawn. That's Lisa. And we out. Peace.
All right. Peace out. Bye-bye.